Peace to the family. Yeah, I want to make a little short video about something that's been on my mind since the current president of the United States has federalized the National Guard to take police control, police activities over Washington, D.C., District of Columbia, which leads us to a couple of different subjects. One being the District of Columbia should be a state, and those people have the rights to representation in the House of Representatives and in the Senate. But put a pin in that. But the federalization of the Metropolitan D.C. police force is a continuation of the action of sending the National Guard to Los Angeles, sending the United States Marine Corps to Los Angeles, and standing in direct opposition to quote-unquote American citizenship, American citizens. Okay? So, in the 90s, there was a text by William Cooper called Behold a Pale Horse. I think most Generation X, those that have come up through what we would call black consciousness, occult and metaphysical studies, and even black nationalist movements, Pan-Africanist movements as well. We're familiar with that text of William Cooper. And if not William Cooper's Behold a Pale Horse, you would definitely be familiar as a student of literature with George Orwell's 1984, which talks about an impending police state, or being under close surveillance, a surveillance state, right? Well, the UK is very heavily on closed circuit television. They're very surveyed, to the extent that's even greater than in the United States, much greater than the United States. But I digress. Bear with me. Nevertheless, I want to link it in on some of our own people, some of my own people. Look at me. Look what I represent. I'm a black man. I'm a homie from Ghana. I was in the pharmacy and I said something to him, just a local slang, oh Charlie, to him. And there was another black man in there, and he basically asked what was the nationality. And my Ghanaian homeboy said, I'm a black man. I said, and I said, and all black men are Africans, right? I know some people may disagree with that, but your DNA ain't gonna lie, right? So anyhow, when we look at this, we got some people that look like us that was telling us, hey, take a back seat to what's going on with the Latinos, those people from South America, Honduras, Nicaragua, Haiti, Mexico, so forth and so forth. And then the common notion was, like the elders used to say, if today is for me, then tomorrow's for you. Or if tomorrow, you know what I'm saying. And there was a lot of black content creators, or just in the realm of social media, that was saying, well, how can that happen? How can that happen? The illegal aliens are illegal aliens. Listen to that term. the migrants, they broke the law. All these, what I would call distractions or straw man arguments about how it would not trickle down to black people in America, from whatever name you want to call them. All right, which introduces another thing. We are so argumentative against, what we should be called. Who are we as a people? But intrinsically, we know who we are. We're talking about people from the soil, people who are native to this landmass, whether it's through immigration, whether it's through the transatlantic slave trade, whether you have indigenous blood. But the fact of the matter is that we are all people that have been typified, by law, when you get your Social Security card, as black or African American, right? And I do understand that in that Social Security classification that North Africans are considered to be Caucasians, all right? So I'm not slow at all on what that's about. But the fact of the matter is that it was said years ago that they would enact martial law and you would ask for it. It's already played out. It's played out. Right? You have attacks here in Atlanta. We had an attack on the Centers for Disease Control, which basically has been lambasted by the Kennedy, the Department of Health and Human Services, Robert Kennedy, lambasted by the current president, and now his people have actually gone and attacked the CDC over a vaccine, so-called vaccine. Let me restate that. The person that attacked the CDC had mental health issues. I'll just leave it at that. Allegedly, he had mental health issues, and he'd been triggered by some things that went on in his life. So we ask ourselves the question again. This martial law, militaristic United States Armed Forces against the peoples of the United States. Notice I said the peoples of the United States, because I'm not just limiting this to black people. It's against all people of the United States. Which brings me to another issue. For some reason, the agenda is being pushed that we live in a post-racial society. And the first people that have swallowed this happen to be black folks, happen to be African Americans. I know some people don't like the term black folks, but you understand exactly what I'm saying. And now, the situation today, you have states like Georgia where it doesn't require a background check to purchase it requires a federal background check, but there's no concealed and carry permit to carry a firearm legally in the state of Georgia. That was by design of the Republican Party. And since that law has gone into effect, you have seen more crime in the black community. So what I'm really getting at is that you have to do more than a slight study of what's going on today. You have to bring in other resources. You have to talk to other people in your community, doing primary research on laws and statutes. Also, like I say, you have to talk to your elders, talk to people who have been around the block a few more times, or a few revolutions of the, a few revolutions of the sun more than you, before you come to these conclusions. And especially on the notion of post-racial America, where essentially history is being whitewashed. And not white meaning being pure, but I mean white being the ethnic high point of civilization. And we are complicit in it. It started with the whole notion of what they would call critical race theory, which isn't as how it has been displayed. Critical race theory is a legal concept and studied in law school in regards to how law is applied. Specifically, it would go back to what Carter G. Woodson would term as Negro history, evolved into black history, further evolved into Afrocentricity, right? And it seems as if some of the greatest opponents of telling the true narrative of history oftentimes come from within our own community, by devaluing the contributions of African people, of black Americans, or quote, foundational black Americans in the scheme of things. That's another topic to deal with. But again, the main point of this is, just a few weeks ago, how would it affect us? How would we get caught up in the militarization of the implementation of martial law? How would we get caught up in it? And now you see that the current president has targeted mostly Democratic cities headed by African Americans and people of color as mayor, and women as mayors and influential political powers in these quote unquote Democratic cities, right? So that was what was on my mind. What was on my mind is, how do we recover from this? And as there are local elections coming up in the city of Atlanta, and that again to me would be one of the first places to start. It doesn't necessarily have to be the first place to start, but it is a place to start. For me, the first place to start is to become active in your community, through your community institutions, i.e. Your schools, your parks and recreation, your churches, through your fraternal and social organizations. Actually, just get to it. And then with the voting on top of it, and especially in these local elections, Some of the most important elections are for school board, for who's the sheriff, um, you know, county commissioners, mayors, and things like that. But specifically that sheriff, there's a whole lot of power in that position of sheriff. And if you don't vote for anything, uh, you should vote for your sheriff. You should know exactly who your sheriff is and the powers and the duties of that particular office. Um, so again, I'll put it out there. Be cautious. Remember caution uh, when you see all of these policies being implemented uh, to further promote white male hegemony, conservative hegemony, IEWS. And it doesn't always take the face of those that wear sheets and robes and wear swastikas, right? A lot of times it's people that wear suits and ties, right? So with that, I say peace. I hope it finds you in the best of life, strength, and health. You lived a day without learning. It's a day without living, actually. So with that, I say peace, peace.